Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope you're doing so well. My name's TheRedCrane. You can also call me Paris. And today I'm going to be talking about my 10-year artistic journey so far. I've been through a lot of ups and downs, made a lot of improvements, and a lot of really bad mistakes that I've learned from. So I just wanted to share with you guys the last 10 years and just what I've learned. So this time lapse is going to be playing while I talk to you guys about the last 10 years for me. So I started drawing on the computer with a tablet around late 2010, early 2011. I was really into anime, specifically Naruto, so that was a big inspiration for me to start getting into art. I randomly discovered this online program called Sumo Paint, and that was primarily what I was using to draw with. I had a tiny little Wacom bamboo tablet and an online Sumo Paint program, and that was just my MO for drawing all the time. It was super trash, but it got the job done. I found the DeviantArt community and was too young, technically, to join, but I did. Started uploading my artwork. I was just so on fire, so passionate about putting my work out there. And yeah, so I was doing that for the first 6 to 8 months or so. And then kind of out of nowhere, I started experiencing some pretty serious harassment from just these random strangers on the internet. I was so young and such a new artist that I didn't have any understanding about art etiquette, what to do, what not to do. So I didn't care if I was tracing, referencing, what that looked like. I just wanted to emulate the styles that I really loved and put my own spin on things. But I ended up getting harassed, accused of being a terrible person and a terrible artist, which, to be fair, I was. But as a 12-year-old, that was really discouraging to hear. I actually ended up getting my accounts hacked and having these people pose as me, commenting awful things on other people's profiles. It was just a whole really awful ordeal. I really couldn't tell you why I continued to draw after this happened, and I didn't just give up, but somehow I continued to draw. I just created a new account with a new identity and decided I was never going to reference, was never going to trace, was never going to put myself in any kind of position where I could potentially be framed for doing something wrong. So unfortunately, on one hand, I learned the good lesson to not trace, but I also learned a really bad lesson, which was that you can't reference, you can't study, you just have to be good by your own sheer willpower. So 2012 brought in a new year, a new identity, literally, and I started to reconnect with the community and kind of make a name for myself, develop relationships. Pretty much all of my art was heavily influenced by Naruto, which I was a big fan of at the time, and I started to join RP communities, and I drew pretty much all the time. I was a homeschooled kid, so I had really nothing else to do. I improved a ton this year because I had a community of people keeping me accountable, inspiring me to improve, and so I think it was a really great year overall, but I made some really big mistakes in my art because I wasn't referencing. Yeah, some really big mistakes. But overall, 2012 was a good year for me, and I think that I started to really step into my own identity as an artist and what kind of artist I wanted to be. 2013 was a great year for me in terms of art, improvement, finding my style, all that kind of stuff. I drew all the time, again, homeschooled kid, and really just learned a lot about composition, colors, backgrounds, posing, all kinds of stuff. I was really hungry to grow as an artist, and I think that really showed in the improvement of my work throughout the year. I also got Photoshop and Paint Tool SAI this year, which helped me a lot in my improvement because I had a lot more tools at my disposal and I wasn't using a wacky internet program to draw. During this year, I was super obsessed with creating OCs. I made well over 100 different characters throughout this year, and I loved every single one of them. It really brought out my passion for character design, which I didn't know was something I was interested in, but I just loved messing around with different hairstyles, clothing, the way that a character design could display a personality. and I think I learned a lot this year in that arena. 2014 was a really great year as well, and I also feel kind of a turning point for me as an artist and what kind of style I wanted to develop. Up until this point, I'd pretty much just been mimicking the Naruto kind of anime style, and I didn't have any sort of distinguishing style on my own. So this was a year for me to kind of experiment with that and figure out what I as an artist wanted to do to separate myself from the crowd. Being a part of the DeviantArt community had a lot of benefits, but during this year, one of the things that caused a lot of strain on me was the need to do commissions. I think that there was a big emphasis on the status that came with being a highly sought out artist to commission, and I felt the burden of that. I felt the need to constantly promote myself, to do commissions, and to overwork myself in order to impress my demographic. The unfortunate result of this was I stopped loving drawing as much. I started to feel like it was a chore more than a passion, and I think that turning it into a work, especially at the age of 14, took away a lot of what I initially started drawing for. In 2015, my rapid rate of producing art started to wane a little bit. I started going to public school in high school, so I had less time to draw, and I also started to feel less passionate about doing it. I also got really into fantasy this year and started drawing characters with a kind of Lord of the Rings style, more complex outfits, backgrounds, body types, different ear shapes, all that stuff that comes with fantasy, and it was really fun to kind of stretch myself away from the typical cute anime girl. I say as I'm literally drawing an anime girl right now. But yeah, I would describe 2015 as a pretty good year for the health of me as an artist. I stopped taking commissions so much because I realized the toll it was taking on me, experimented with different types of shading and coloring and painting styles, until I found something that really clicked with me. In 2016, my output of art continued to decline, but I still think I made a lot of strides in my skill, a lot of focus on anatomy, perspective, just getting better at drawing people, and I think that shows in my work. I also found a really sweet spot in designing RPG characters, fantasy characters, and I was just obsessed, constantly drawing different designs, and even starting to draw guys, which was something that I shied away from for a long time. This wasn't one of my best years in terms of improvement and overall quality, but I still think it was a great year, and I think it was a year of refinement for the skills that I had already learned. Between 2017 and 2019, I really didn't draw at all. I graduated high school, moved to LA to pursue different careers, and really drawing just went on the back burner. I occasionally threw out some work, but there was really nothing that I was progressing towards. And on top of that, the DeviantArt community that I had been a part of that really had kept me engaged was starting to disperse, so I didn't have much of a reason to be engaged in community anymore. One thing I did start to do during this time was open myself up to a different medium. I started to do a lot more traditional work, line work, realism, hands, which were all really fun to do and gave me a whole new understanding and respect for drawing and being an artist as a whole. And that brings us to 2020. I honestly could not tell you why I started to draw again in early 2020. I just felt it. I really just, all of a sudden, something in my head switched on and I wanted to draw again. My ridiculous bootleg version of Paint Tool Sai had expired, and I had tried using Parallels to use Sai in the past, but I really just hated the experience. It slowed my computer way down, so I found Clip Studio Paint and started to familiarize myself with that new program. Having used Sai for the last 7 to 8 odd years, it was really difficult to start using a new program. It really felt like starting from scratch, but I'm so glad I did it because I think Clip Studio Paint offers a lot more than what I could have gotten from that old program and really opened a lot of doors for me in terms of what I could do digitally as an artist. Already this year, over the last few months, I feel like I've improved quite a bit, which is really cool to see, and also makes me feel like if I had kept going at art, I could be so much better than I am now. But I can't change the past, so all I can do now is just be excited about the fact that I'm drawing again and do my best every time. So over the last 10 years, all the artwork I've done, being in the art community, and just experiencing all the different sides of it, I think there are 3 things that I really took away from all of that I want to share with you guys. 1, I don't want to make art a career. I know that sounds kind of silly, but the times that I felt the worst about my art, the times that I was least inspired, were when I was trying to make art to make other people happy and not to make me happy. Now, I'm not saying this is for everyone. There are lots of people who do want to do it professionally and can make art for other people and be okay with that. I'm just not that person. I want to maintain art as a hobby, not as a career, simply because I have a lot of other areas in my life that are career-based, and I want to still have a hobby that I don't have to rely on for income. I can just do it because I love it, and it's fun. Again, I want to emphasize this is just my personal preference, my conclusion from my artistic experience. If you want to make a career out of art, I'm so excited for you, and please pursue that because that's awesome. The second thing that I've learned over the last 10 years is allow yourself to be influenced. I spent a lot of wasted time railing against that idea because I was fearful of copying or not having any individuality in my artwork, and it really stunted my growth, and there are a lot of things that I could have learned that I didn't. So I would just say absorb everything around you, and that doesn't mean to copy and paste everything you see, but let it influence you, let it guide you, let it teach you constantly. The third thing I've learned over the last 10 years is never stop challenging yourself. This seems really simple, but I think it's really easy as an artist to get into a rut of only drawing what's comfortable for you, and that doesn't push you to grow in any way. For me, drawing anime girls facing 3/4 to the left or right is very easy. It comes naturally, and I know I'm good at it. But drawing the same thing all day long isn't going to improve me as an artist, so I constantly look for ways to challenge myself and try something that I've never done before. And a lot of times, you'd be surprised at how much easier it is than you think it's gonna be. So guys, that is my 10-year journey as an artist. Thank you guys so much for watching and letting me just share my story with you. If you like this video, please leave a comment or hit the like button. Let me know. This is my first time really doing YouTube, so I'm trying to figure it out, but I had a lot of fun just sharing my story and getting to chat with you guys. If you're interested in seeing more of my artwork, you can find me at TheRedCrane on Twitter. I'm always posting on there, so that would be a great place to check out some of my stuff. I'm gonna let the rest of this time lapse play out, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.